Joe Biden has won the presidency because the media has said so. I don't know where they got the authority over the FEC, but we'll talk a bit about that. Democrats make a list of anybody who supported Trump, which is nothing new, by the way, and we'll talk a little bit about what happened there. COVID has been cured as Democrats fill the street to come out and celebrate Joe Biden, even though they couldn't get out to the polls in person to vote, and their kids have to go to school in front of a computer at home. So we'll talk a bit about that. And unfortunately, an icon, Alex Trebek, has passed away. It'll be all this and more. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, folks, and welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to today, and most of it revolves around one little story here. Not a lot of news is happening elsewhere. I've picked up a news source, and I don't care if they're green check verified at this point because the green checks are not covering jack shit about what's going on here. They're just coming out here and telling you how great it is that Joe Biden has won. And I am sick of it, so I'm not going to give them as much of the attention that they think that they deserve. Call it a hunch, but sometimes we do have to come out and stretch out off this. So the Gateway Pundit's going to start coming into play, the Daily Mail, the Post Millennial, because all that anybody, even Fox, is saying right now is, oh my God, it's a miracle. Joe Biden won. We got rid of the evil orange man. And there's a lot more going on with news than that. But before we get into any of this, let's talk a little bit about what we think that your media source should be. So head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We carry great shows such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Generational Gap, The Freckles and Brit Show. We also carry The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and... oh wait, that's it. Check out all of our shows and pick up some of our swag and help us support great creators. Quick look at the stocks here. Investors Business Daily wasn't cooperating with me earlier today, so we will check from CNBC and Fox after I railed against both of them. I know, I'm a walking ball of contradictions here, but just looking at the Google stock chart first, looks like it stayed down throughout the majority of the day, and then popped up a little bit above water, and then back down right as the day closed, because nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Nobody knows what the hell is going on, but it appears that people do know what the hell is going on at this point because, according to the futures, it's all going to go shooting right back up here. So there's your chart for Friday. Well, nobody had any idea what the hell was happening here. Let's keep going here from CNBC. The Dow is set to surge 5% to a record as Pfizer says COVID-19 vaccine is more than 90% effective. From Fred Imbert and Yoon Lee. Investors cheered on Monday after drug makers Pfizer and BioNTech said trial data dedicated their COVID-19 vaccine is 90% effective. Still not taking it. Many on Wall Street applauded the announcement as a sign that the pharmaceutical industry may soon have a viable way to control a disease that has derailed the U.S. economy for much of 2020 and has killed more than 23,000 Americans. Citation needed, please. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average surged 1537 points, or 5.4%, implying an opening gain of more than 1,500 points. I thought that they shut it down before it got to 5% and they smacked the circuit breaker. I thought that that's what they did. Apparently they don't. The Dow's previous intraday record was 29,568.57, about 1,245 points from Friday's close. S&P 500 futures jumped 4%. Russell 2000 futures rallied 7%, triggering upside limits set by the CME Group to prevent highly volatile trading moves. Tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 futures fell 0.5% as traders left crowded growth and stay-at-home stocks in favor of cyclical companies that could outperform if the Pfizer vaccine is approved for widespread use. Isn't it funny? The media's come out and announced that Biden's been elected, and all of a sudden the vaccine is out, and people can start surging that stock market. Stocks were already set to continue their big post-election rally Monday as Democrat Joe Biden defeated incumbent Donald Trump in the U.S. presidential race to become president-elect, according to NBC projections. not according to the FEC, not according to any state-certified vote totals, but according to NBC projections. And I think they shot their wad on this too, by the way. Dow futures were up about 400 points before the vaccine news. The 90% effective rate from Pfizer and Germany's BioNTech was better than what the market was expecting. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, has said that a vaccine that was 50 to 60% effective would be acceptable. Amazing news from Pfizer with a 90% efficacy. This hopefully is the beginning of the end of our fight against COVID, Peter Bukvar, Chief Investment Officer at Bleakley Advisory Group, wrote in an email. As I've been saying, on the hopes of this, we need to shift our attention to those parts of the market that have been the most hammered because of COVID and away from the work from home stocks that have had such an incredible year because COVID is not forever, he added. Really? Because 2 weeks ago, I was being told that this is the new normal and COVID is for fucking ever. This is blatant at this point. This is obvious. You're sitting here 6 days after an election, and all of a sudden now we've got the miracle vaccine that's 90% effective, and we can start going back to work. We can open up the economy again. Oh, those stay-at-home stocks, fuck those. Fuck those guys. Because everybody's going to be going back to work. Look at it. It's a miracle. It's a Christmas fucking miracle. And you expect me to buy this as just a coincidence that this happened to be when it was that this got released after the media said, oh, it's okay. No, we got rid of the evil orange man. Fuck you. Shares of cruise operator Carnival Corp rocketed higher by 18%, Southwest Airlines jumped 9%, and the Walt Disney Company popped 6%, as investors bet a vaccine may allow more vacationers to attend its amusement parks. No way! No fucking way! You held these companies in the toilet because everyone was afraid to get out there, and now you're telling me all of this is a coincidence. You expect me to believe that every single bit of this is a coincidence. I got a bridge to sell you off of this. So yes, the vaccine is here. The miracle cure. We never have to worry about this again. Oh, and make sure, this is a mandatory vaccine, by the way. Make sure you take it. Otherwise, you're not going to be allowed to be in polite society. We'll talk a little bit about this. All right. Let's keep going here. A little bit from Fox. Dow futures surged 1,500 points on Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine news from Chris Ciaccia. Stock futures built on early gains Monday along with other oil and positive news from Pfizer on a COVID-19 vaccine and after Biden was named president-elect over the weekend. Dow futures were up 1,500 points, a gain of 5.3%. S&P 500 also rose 3.7% in early trade, while the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite ran up 1%. Okay, according to CNBC, it was down 0.5%, but the gains will likely drive the U.S. averages closer to reclaiming record levels. No way. No way. No. Traders are reacting positively to the news that Pfizer and BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine proved to be 90% effective. In the first 94 patients it was tested on, shares move higher in the pre-market, while Moderna, also working on a vaccine, drifted lower. Today is a great day for science and humanity. The first set of results from our Phase 3 COVID-19 vaccine trials provides the initial evidence of our vaccine's ability to prevent COVID-19, said Pfizer CEO and Chairman Albert Bourla in a statement. We are reaching this critical milestone in our vaccine developments at a time when the world needs it most, with infection rates setting new records, hospitals nearing overcapacity, and economies struggling to reopen. With today's news, we are a significant step closer to providing people around the world with a much-needed breakthrough to help bring an end to this global health crisis. This is a significant milestone in the fight against the virus that has infected more than 50 million people around the globe, resulting in 1.2 million deaths. President Trump, in a tweet, celebrated the developments, even though he had nothing to do with it. Stock market up, big vaccine coming soon. Report 90% effective, such great news. Oil also moved back above $40 per barrel level on vaccine hopes. Oh, people are going to be driving again. Hey, let's jack that fucking gas price up. All right, so that's what we are seeing coming back out of this here. That's all the more I'm going to do on stock here because we got a bunch of stuff to talk to as far as elections, as far as what it is that they think that they need to do, and how they're going to treat us coming forward. Let's keep going here from CNN. Meanwhile in America, no. Biden wins in Pennsylvania, becoming the 46th president of the United States. From Stephen Collinson and Maeve Reston. Former Vice President Joe Biden's 30-year quest for the presidency culminated in victory over President Trump as vote counts continued into Saturday, and CNN projects Biden will win Pennsylvania, giving him the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House. The numbers tell us a clear and convincing story. We're going to win this race, Biden said in a brief statement Friday night, in which he called for calm and patience at a moment of high political tension as vote counters in pivotal states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona, worked through the mountains of mostly mail-in ballots. Biden had already pivoted from a campaigning tone and expressed the need for unity and healing. Yeah, we'll talk about why that's bullshit here in a little bit later, as he seeks to build a foundation for the presidency that will unfold a tumultuous political period, and that he will need to tackle a pandemic that is getting alarmingly more serious every day. Nuh-uh, the magic vaccine just showed up. By contrast, Trump, who did not appear to have come to terms with his apparently impending defeat before the race was called and was seen arriving at his golf course in Virginia on Saturday. Oh my God, he's golfing! Had been firing off new and unsubstantiated allegations of massive voter fraud and irregularities in a manner that suggests the transition of power could be an acrimonious process. I won this election by a lot, the president tweeted, in contradiction to the growing vote tally favoring Biden shortly before CNN projected the race. Since the final polls closed Tuesday, Twitter has applied warning labels to more than a third of Trump's tweets. Of course they had. Flagging a handful of his messages Saturday as misleading. The Democrat nominee stretched his leads in Georgia and Nevada and was holding off the president's challenge in Arizona as vote counting continued Saturday, but Pennsylvania pushed him over the top to clinch the 270 needed to win the presidency, and with a comfortable margin, so the Trump team can go back and overturn Nevada and Arizona and still not have to worry, might I add. In the latest batch of results from the Keystone State, Biden expanded his lead over Trump, which is now up to more than 34,000. Mysterious. Up more than 34,000 at a 200,000 deficit on election night. Biden leads Trump by more than 22,000 votes in Nevada and is ahead by more than 7,000 in Georgia. Trump is cutting the Democrats' lead in Arizona, which is down to 20,573 votes, with 97% reported, but it is not clear whether his margins are sufficiently wide to overtake his rival in the state with 235,000 votes still to be counted. And yet, it's exactly what happened in the Keystone State. Exactly what happened in the Keystone State. The Biden currently leads the president by 273 to 213 electoral votes, CNN projects. Biden's late-night speech in Wilmington struck a contrast to Trump's grievance-filled speech the night before, in which the president flung false claims that the election is being stolen and vowed to fight it in the courts. Claiming a mandate to ease the nation's angry divides, the former vice president, who first unsuccessfully ran for president in the 1988 campaign, vowed that life in America under a Biden administration would be less angst-ridden and acrimonious. On the worst day yet for COVID-19 infections, more than 125,000, he offered condolences to those who had lost loved ones. We have to remember, man, the purpose of our politics isn't total, unrelenting, unending warfare. No, the purpose of our politics, the work of the nation, isn't to fan the flames of conflict, but to solve the problems, Biden said, to guarantee justice, to give everyone a fair shot, to improve the lives of our people. Trump has not appeared in public after his grievance and lie-filled news. Okay, you do not have the authority to decide who made a lie and who made the truth. You do not determine the fucking truth, CNN. Conference at the White House on Thursday, and as a battle of wills began to emerge between the president and Biden's camp over the election endgame, Trump said in a tweet that Biden should not wrongfully claim the office of the president and promised legal proceedings to try and hang on to his job. But so far, the Trump campaign has offered conspiracy theories and accusations, but little concrete evidence to back up its claims of corruption in the election. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. First off, as we just mentioned in the stocks news, it's a sudden Christmas miracle. 2 days after CNN and all the other major news outlets projected that Biden is the winner, and 6 days after the election day, this phase 3 vaccine that everybody says that we must have in order to open the economy back up just suddenly shows up on the market with 90% effectiveness, and nobody's questioning that. And suddenly we can all start going back to work. But Donald, he wrecked the economy, and I'm going to fix it by letting people get back to work. I'm going to open the economy back up. Suddenly, after the vaccine shows up, and nobody's questioning this. And mysteriously, just enough votes to pull the former vice president over the threshold show up at the last second. And then, let's stop counting, and he's just the president here. As I mentioned, the media does not decide who the president is. The FEC gets together and does that. There are problems going along with this. And this does have a very, very strong possibility of going to the courts. It absolutely does. And something that I've been thinking about, and something that's been rattling back and forth through my mind as we go through this, as we talk about this, is the procedure of what happened with this, both in the last election and in most elections that we see off of this. I think Bush versus Gore was the only one in recent memory that's been fought and overturned. First and foremost, the FEC has not certified a single state yet. They're still counting. Nobody's 100% in, and all the reviews still have to go and be in place at this point. So yes, this is still a challengeable election. They can still come out and decide to look through this to try and figure out what's going on and to try and get it changed. That's all still on the board and can still be done. And I realized, first and foremost, that Hillary conceded the morning after Election Day. That Romney conceded on election night. That McCain was a fucking war hawk that hated his country and conceded on election night. Kerry conceded on election night. You're noticing a pattern here, for the most part, except for Bush versus Gore. In my lifetime, as far as I know, every losing presidential candidate has conceded on election night. And the one that got me was Clinton, because she spent the next 4 years contesting the election, but she did concede out on election night instead of not conceding under any circumstance on election night as per usual. And I hate to get completely tinfoily on this, but it's the only thing that I can see here is that there was some sort of massive smaller scale voter fraud plan, because nobody thought that President Trump was ever going to be president. So there was something in the works to try and make sure that Queen Hillary got ascended to the presidency. But by conceding, she kept people from looking too close into it. They just said, okay, well, we're just going to count it as a formality, and nobody's going to look into a thing. I know the left in this country demanded recounts, but Hillary came out and said, no, you know what, Donald, you won. So it's something to think about, the fact that she came out and conceded, and then told Biden not to concede, and then all of a sudden, all of these votes start flowing in for Biden, just enough to push him up over the top by sometimes razor-thin margins. I'm not buying a thing about this particular election. I'm not buying one damn thing. Now I know nobody's going to come and look too close into Wisconsin, but we all know, we've been memeing about it and joking about it for a long time. You're standing at the back of the truck filled with boxes that are marked as emergency Democrat ballots, only to be used in case of emergency. And from the 2016 election that looked like there was absolutely no way possible that they could swing it back. That was a landslide victory. Oh, they're going to call this one a landslide victory too, but that was a landslide victory. And you've only got to do it in certain places too. Most of these races are statewide races. But honestly, as far as it looks right now, from everything from the media deciding that it was time to call a race without the FEC being involved, from the mail-in ballots that they tried to change right at the very end, to the fact that they were moving the voting machines far beyond where a poll watcher could see anybody working on the voting machines. They stole this election right in front of you, put the results out there. They're not trying to hide the ball at this point. And then they gave you the vaccine. America voted the right way, and now you've got the vaccine that you've been waiting for since March. So there is way too much in this situation right now that's convenient. And I believe in some coincidences, but not this many at the same time. All right, let's keep going because I ranted on this enough. From ABC 7, speaking of people that got elected, 25-year-old Alex Lee is California's youngest, first openly bisexual state legislature. From Dustin Dorsey and Kayla Galloway. History was made on Tuesday in Santa Clara County, where South Bay voters elected the youngest state legislator in 8 decades. Democrat Alex Lee, 25, won the 25th District Assembly race and will become California's first openly bisexual state lawmaker. I don't give a fuck, but this is the kind of news that they're putting out, so I wanted you guys to know about this. As I've mentioned numerous times on this show, I don't care who you fuck or how you pee, as long as you're able to apply equal justice under the laws that you make equally to the people. That's all I care about. What color your skin is, how you pee, who you fuck. None of that affects my life. Alright, don't care about that. Just wanted to put that one out there. From CBS News. Biden expected to unveil executive orders on day one. No other given. President-elect Joe Biden is expected to unveil a slate of executive orders and other legislative pushes on the first day of his presidency aimed at reversing some of the most controversial aspects of the President Trump's presidency. According to 2 sources familiar with the transition, the president-elect is also expected to announce a COVID-19 task force on Monday. Not needed. We got the vaccine. Mr. Biden plans to move quickly to rescind Mr. Trump's Muslim ban that Barack Obama put into place while Joe Biden was in office on immigration from certain countries and implement a temporary moratorium on deportations while reviewing the deportation system. He also expects to send a bill to Congress to grant a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers. No way! No way! You got a Democrat elected and now you're going to pass a legislation for the DREAM Act? I'm shocked! And rejoin the Paris Climate Agreements and the World Health Organization. Mr. Biden is expected to start announcing White House staff appointments this week. On Saturday night, the president-elect addressed the nation. In his first speech since being projected as the winner, he urged Americans to bring an end to this grim era of demonization in America. Oh, we'll be talking about that. While Mr. Trump has not yet conceded, he spent Sunday as he spent Saturday at the golf course. He is not expected to make any public appearances. And that's your statewide races right there, as they project them. 95% in Vermont. Yeah, that one's an obvious one. Where are the ones that we need to see? Pennsylvania. Oh, I'm sorry, within a percentage point, right up the beginning with 98% in. You don't say. Weird. Georgia. 2 points, 99% in. Just enough to get him over the edge. You don't say. North Carolina. Trump is winning. Nobody's talking about that one. Arizona. 98% in. Half a percentage point. And yet we're going to say that one's going there. Nevada. 97% in. That one's got a lot of lawsuits there, so that's something to keep in mind. Wisconsin, 99% in. What did they wind up doing that? 0.6%. That's going to a recount. I know our boy Trump, that's going to recount, and I know how our laws go. They don't even put a percentage point on this one here because they don't care. Either that or my phone's covering it. Nope. So yeah, that's what we're seeing off of this here. All right, and that is that. Let's keep going. From Politico. Here's an intelligent take. George W. Bush congratulates Biden and Harris on election victory. From Nolan McCaskill, former President George W. Bush. W. On Sunday congratulated President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris on their election. I extend my warm congratulations and thanked him for the patriotic message he delivered last night, Bush said in a statement referring to his conversation with Biden. I also called Kamala Harris to congratulate her on her historic election to the vice presidency. She didn't fucking do anything. Well, okay, she was out campaigning, but that's not her victory. Nobody wanted her on the ballot. Bush's congratulations come as many congressional Republicans have yet to publicly acknowledge Biden as the incoming president. News networks and the Associated Press called the race for Biden late Saturday morning after the Democrat was projected to win Pennsylvania, putting his campaign over the Electoral College threshold of 270 votes. That means that Biden will, not might, will become the nation's 46th president in January, when Harris will become the first woman, black woman, and Asian American woman to serve as vice president. Acknowledging that he and the incoming Democratic president have political differences, Bush says he knows Biden to be a good man who has won his opportunity to lead and unify our country and go back to war because we need to take care of that oil in the Middle East. Bush said he also extended to Biden the same offer he gave to his successors, Barack Obama and Donald Trump, his prayers for a success and a pledge to help in any way that he could. Trump has a tense relationship with the Bush family. He branded former Governor Jeb Bush of Florida as low energy, because he fucking was, during the 2016 Republican presidential primary, blamed W for the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, probably fact-check true, and mocked his father, former President George H.W. Bush, for his 1,000 Points of Light volunteerism program. George W. Bush didn't support the president's re-election, mostly because he didn't start another war in the Middle East. Trump has refused to accept the results as legitimate. Have you? In a defiant statement on Saturday, the outgoing president, who's not outgoing yet, has accused the Biden of falsely posing as the winner, warning that this election is far from over. Trump's team has sought to delegitimize Biden's victory by falsely claiming that illegal ballots put Biden over the top in key battleground states that had showed Trump winning on election night, the so-called Red Mirage. They told you they were going to do it. That's the worst part. Appeared because Democrats overwhelmingly voted by mail, while Republicans were far more likely to vote in person on election day. The mail-in votes took longer to count. In his statement, Bush congratulated Trump on a hard-fought campaign. He earned the votes of more than 70 million Americans. An extraordinary political achievement, Bush said. They've spoken, and their voices will continue to be heard through elected Republicans at every level of the government. Yeah, I don't want to talk about Bush anymore. Fuck that guy. We're going back to war. So that's what you need to know. We're going back to fucking war. Let's keep going. From The Hill. Lindsey Graham. If Trump concedes election, Republicans will never elect another president. From Dominic Mastrangelo. Is that how you pronounce that? Possibly. Senator Lindsey Graham warned that President Trump should not concede defeat in the 2020 presidential election, in part because Republicans will never be able to elect another president from their party again. If Republicans don't challenge and change the U.S. election system, there'll never be another Republican president elected again, Graham said on Sunday on Fox News. President Trump should not concede. We're down to less 10,000 votes here in Georgia. He's going to win North Carolina. We've gone from 93,000 votes to less than 20,000 votes in Arizona. We're more votes to be counted. Every major news network and the Associated Press, which is a major news network, by the way, on Saturday projected Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 race for the White House. Trump has said he will not concede, alleging widespread voter fraud led to 10,000s of illegal ballots being cast against him. The Trump campaign has provided no evidence to back up the president's claims. I know. That's why it's going to court, so we can actually get an investigator in there to provide evidence for the alleged claims. And like I said, I don't buy a word of this. I have not, from the beginning, given the fact that they told you what they were going to do. Oh, hey, by the way, there's going to be a red mirage. We have no crystal ball, but we know that's what's going to happen. Oh, hey, the COVID vaccine is going to come out after Biden becomes president, and we can open the economy back up. Guess what? Biden's going to get a record economy. Hey, aren't you excited to see a record Dow number again? And people are buying this too. Yes, he needs to fight this. He absolutely does. And once again, even if the investigators come out and they can't overturn this, we're going to get a lot of light shed on what happened and how it happened, because I don't buy a word of this. I do not buy one single word. And they focus their efforts on places like Pennsylvania and Georgia and how to get the mail-in votes out for that. I mean, you could put 10 million mail-in votes in California, and it's not going to change one thing. Because nobody in California is going to vote for a Republican. The people in the red districts are going to go and say, well, you know what? Los Angeles is going to control our state. I wonder if The Price is Right is on. So we will see what happens with this here. I'm looking forward to seeing at least what the news coverage is and what the court challenges are, because that's going to fill a lot of contemporary episodes, and maybe it'll get overturned. I don't know if it will or not, but maybe it'll get overturned. We shall see. Let's keep going. From Fox, Trump plans to revive campaign-style rallies as he pursues legal challenges to election results. From Andrew O'Reilly. President Trump is planning to bring back large-scale rallies that were a hallmark of presidential run, but these will be focused on his ongoing litigation as he challenges the results of last week's election. According to a report by Axios and confirmed by Fox News, Trump's campaign plans to take a less traditional path to challenging the results of the election, including holding a series of Trump rallies focused on the campaign's ongoing legal efforts in numerous states across the country. Along with the rallies, Trump is also planning to use the obituaries of people who allegedly voted but are actually dead as evidence of the voter fraud he's been claiming. The campaign is also sending out recount teams to Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania, with Rep. Doug Collins heading up the effort for the Peach State. Trump has promised legal action in the coming days as he refused to concede his loss to Biden, making an aggressive pitch for donors to help finance any court fight. Trump and his campaign have leveled accusations of large-scale voter fraud in Pennsylvania and other states that broke for Biden, so far without proof. And you know what? He's going to get the money for it, too. I've seen what Trump sycophants do, and they will open their wallets to try and get Trump reelected. They will fund every single court case, every goddamn one of them, in full with money left over. I promise you that. I've seen the way that they do. I've seen what they do. And we'll talk a little bit about that too here. I've got a little bit more to go on with that than the supporters, so we'll talk a bit about that. But yes, they will open their wallets in droves and empty them to see this election overturned from what the media has said it is. They will. And that's one of the differences. I know people are screeching about, oh, well, 0 cities burned because Republicans are angry, and then the progressives are back. Well, they're talking about a legal election and not that somebody got killed by a police officer. And here's the reality of this. Democrats, when they don't get their way and have an offer to challenge, go out and destroy cities. We saw it in Inauguration Day in 2017. And then we saw it with all the riots this past summer and everything else that we saw. They will go out and destroy cities. Republicans, for the most part, will go out and pour money into their candidate. Both of them come from a certain religious fervor, but they do things in different ways. And one of the other things that I want to point out, Calvin over on Twitter pointed this out to me. I did not link the tweet. I should have, but I didn't link the tweet off of this. But the damage has already been done. And that's the worst part about this, with the media coming out and saying that Joe Biden is the projected winner in a way that says that he's the absolute winner, and anybody who questions it is a racist, bigot, homophobe, sexist, transist. What other adjective can I throw in there? Because now the stage is set. Now, no matter what happens in the courts, if it does get overturned in the courts, now the narrative is, oh, President Trump stole the election. How dare he steal the election? He stole my election. This was her time. And that's the other thing, too. I have not seen any posts anywhere about people who are excited about Joe Biden to be the president. Everybody's talking about the glass ceiling, Kamala Harris becoming the vice president. Wear your shoes, ladies, because there's glass everywhere. Because, apparently the glass ceiling was shattered. And honestly, get a better role model. Because Kamala Harris is sitting there because she sucked off Willie Brown. Is that the message you want to give your daughters? Fuck the right guy, and you can get anywhere. Not through hard work, you can get anywhere. Because when I was growing up, the message was, through hard work, you can get anywhere you want to be. And now the message is, fuck the right guy and you can get whatever the hell you want to be. I thought we were trying to move away from that message with feminism. But it doesn't matter because the genitalia is right. So that's what we're seeing off of this here. Let's keep going. From the Post Millennial, the first time I've used this outlet before. Not green check verified, but I think we're going to be moving a little bit away from there. We're going to use some green check stuff, but we're going to move a little bit away from there because at this point, the green check verifieds have gone to the Biden campaign, including Fox, by the way. Breaking. Clinton whistleblower speaks out about unanswered irregularities in the 2020 presidential election. From Mia Cathell. I think all these are from the same author, because I think I just pulled them off her Twitter page. But we'll see. The whistleblower who leaked information about the Clinton Foundation and the Uranium One transaction is now calling out the unanswered irregularities in the 2020 presidential election's ballot counting. Nate Kane emphasized that he spent 23 years in cybersecurity, now a Navy-qualified validator authorized to check the country's most sensitive information systems used by American warfighting platforms. The tweet says, I've spent 23 years in cybersecurity information security. The bulk of my work has been in vulnerability assessment and validation. I hold credentials as a certified information systems security professional with ISC2. I'm a Navy qualified validator, authorized to... Oh, I wish they would have put the other one up there. Kane also blew the whistle on the DOJ in 2018, then exposing the FBI's threat assessment on electronic voting machines, which he called a critical insider threat to the elections by the mass integration of tabulation software nationwide. Incidentally, the company's owner was the former chairman of the George Soros Foundation he cited. So for those wondering who I am, believe me when I tell you that what the hell I'm talking about, there are too many unanswered irregularities with this election, and I'm only talking about the electronic voting and tabulation, Kane urged. Kane also pointed to multiple accounts of backdating ballots by the U.S. Postal Service. No, nothing to see here. Just look over there. Ballots dumped or destroyed that were from Trump-heavy districts. No, nothing to see here. Look over there. Deceased voters. Okay, you know where I'm going with that. Ballot harvesting and ballot box stuffing. You also have a mass media and big tech election interference conspiracy which colluded with the Democrat Party that has silenced the voices of millions of Americans and attempted to install their candidate by any means necessary, deciding the election before lawsuits and recounts have been settled. Kane fired, adding that everything needs to be audited because as of right now, this election is a farce. Well, to be fair, all elections at this point are farces, but this one is especially farcical. It's the farciest of farces. All right, let's keep going here from the Daily Wire. George W. Bush. So, in a stark contrast to what we read from him earlier off of this, Trump has the right to pursue recounts and legal challenges over the election. From Tim Pierce. Former President George W. Bush said that the former President Joe Biden won the 2020 election, but asserted that President Trump has the right to pursue perceived issues in the election process. Bush issued his statement on Sunday, saying that he called Biden and congratulated the Democrat presidential nominee on his election victory, paving the way to go back to war and getting him more stock out of fucking Raytheon and Halliburton and everybody else. Notably, the election results have not yet been certified in a number of battleground states that are either too close to call or until legal issues being pursued by the Trump administration are resolved. I just talked to the President-elect of the United States, Joe Biden. I extended my warm congratulations and thanked him for his patriotic message. I'm going to go do more watercolor now. I also called Kamala Harris to congratulate her on a historic election to the vice presidency, Bush said. Though we have political differences, I know Joe Biden to be a good man, who has won his opportunity to lead and unify our country. Really? Because that man you just congratulated called you literally Hitler sitting in the Senate 16 years ago. You happy-faced fuckstick. The president-elect reiterated that while he ran as a Democrat, he will govern for all Americans. I offered him the same thing I offered Presidents Trump and Obama. My prayers for his success and my pledge to win any way I can. But he goes on to say that yes, he has got the right to go out and challenge this, which he should, and he does. He didn't concede. He sees irregularities in this. We have whistleblowers that say there's irregularities in this, and all that we're getting is nothing to see here. You're a bigot in conspiracy theory if you think that Joe Biden didn't win this election. Let's keep going. From The Blaze, Pennsylvania County responds after viral video shows poll workers filling out ballots. They provided an explanation for what's going on. From Breck Dumas. Viral videos circulating on the internet purport to show poll workers in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, filling out blank ballots as the state continues to count votes critical to determining the winner of the presidential race between President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. But the county has provided an explanation for what's going on. I'm listening. And Reuters, PolitiFact, and USA Today have all found the allegations of fraud to be false. No way! One video shows a male poll worker in a black shirt appearing to fill out ballots and stamp them while he's sitting across from a female worker who's wearing a gray sweater. Two other female workers can be seen sitting next to the pair at a separate table. This is from Bill Paul. Caught on camera, poll workers in Pennsylvania filling out ballots. No voter fraud here. Some of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about the election or other civic process. Learn more. Let's have a look at this video and see what we've got. I can listen. You can listen. Let's go. Oh, you fuckstick. Because they don't want me to see the video. They want me to do the extra click. I want to point out that she also doesn't have the mask over her nose. I guess there's nothing to listen to either because there's nothing coming out of there. What do you see there? Because I'm telling you what I see. I don't know, man. Alright, let's get rid of this here. Go back to the Blaze. A second video shows one of the women at the second table filling out the ballots. That might be a GIF. False information checked by independent fact checkers. Voter fraud live in Pennsylvania. Ballot counters caught on closed circuit cameras filling out blank ballots instead of counting. What the hell is going on in Pennsylvania? Hey, I can only go by what's put in front of me here, and well, let's see what they have to say. Delaware County responded in a press release confirming that the footage was recorded on its official live stream, while saying that the viral footage had been altered and that some residents are making false accusations. Oh, it's altered, you say? And some residents are making false accusations about what the video shows. The county did not specify which video was allegedly altered, but it did point this out. Hang on, I'm going to put the autoplay proof up here. The actual video shows the election worker at a table with other co-workers in a room full of people with bipartisan observers a few feet away at each end of the table, closely observing the workers from approximately 6 feet away. This arrangement was agreed upon between the Election Bureau and the former Republican chairman of Delaware County Council, acting in his capacity as counsel for the Delaware County Republican Party. The county shared a screenshot showing the same workers and the observers monitoring the process. I don't know, man. A third video, also taken from the Delaware County's live stream, shows an overhead view at a different female poll worker filling out ballots while sitting directly across from a male worker wearing a long-sleeve plaid shirt. The woman can clearly be seen filling out several ballots and stamping them, as a man narrating while viewing on a computer can be heard saying, "This lady is marking the ballots. I filmed her a half an hour ago. Doing 6, she is still working on it." A uniformed law enforcement officer can be seen walking by at one point, the narrator says, and there's a security guard right there who's watching her. The cops are in on it. Disgusting. Let me see what this does.
And poll what?
I'm going to send it to Bill.
This lady is marking the ballots. I filmed her a half hour ago doing 6, and she's still working at it. Let's stamp it, received, and let's fill in our 6 blanks. All at the top of the tickets on each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a security guard right there who's watching her. The cops are in on it. Disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. There's something else going on here. And like I said, we've been memeing and joking about it for longer than there have been memes. That, the emergency Democrat ballots. But it really does seem at this point like there's something else happening here. Let's keep going. Let's talk about these lists, because I've been kind of eager to talk about this. So I got a couple tweets here. One is from Jennifer Rubin and the other one is from AOC, and we'll talk a little bit about what it means. Starting with Jennifer Rubin. Any are now promoting the rejection of an election or calling to not follow the will of the voters or making baseless allegations of fraud should never serve in office, join a corporate board, find a faculty position, or be accepted into polite society. We have a list. Jennifer, put me on that fucking list right now, because I don't accept any of this and I'm not fucking afraid of you. This, well, bad enough coming from a journalist, obviously, but we also have somebody who is in an elected capacity saying, is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future? They won't. I foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, and photos in the future. LOL at the party personal responsibility, being upset at the idea of being responsible for their behavior over the last 4 years. Which we should probably archive this one, as Catalina Loft says. And no, but we just archived this one. You're a sitting member of Congress and threatening people against their First Amendment rights. So yes, they are getting out there. They're making lists, and there is going to be punitive action if you supported Donald Trump openly, apparently, according to Jennifer Rubin and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But there's more. Also from the Post-Millennial. No, I'm not going to turn my ad blocker off. New blacklist of Trump sycophants being compiled. This is from also Mia Cathell. At the behest of Squad member and New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a blacklist of Trump sycophants entitled The Trump Accountability Project is archiving the names of individuals who elected, served, funded, supported, and represented President Donald Trump. I think I got to move this one here because I want to put this one over there. Let's just keep going here. Who could have seen this coming? And then we looked at this. So that's AOC with her tweet that we just read over there. And this is one that comes from this. Let's open that one up and see it. Michael Simon says, yes, we are. The Trump Accountability Project, Act Project. Every administration staffer, campaign staffer, bundler, lawyer who represented them, everyone. And of course, we do have to keep in mind the fact that they drew the line. They said it's going to be every lawyer who represented them, every bundler, every campaign staffer, and every administration staff, everybody who was in the cabinet. But they're totally going to stop at that line. They're totally not going to go move on into the general public. They're totally not going to do that. Don't worry about that. All right, let's keep going here. Is anyone archiving these tweets? We read that one. The U.S. representative tweeted on Friday afternoon, yes, we are, answered former Obama administration staffer Michael Simon, citing the Trump Accountability Project. Every administration staffer, campaign staffer, bundler, lawyer who represented them, everyone. On the website's landing page, it urges, we must never forget those who helped further the Trump agenda, adding that the world should never forget those who, when faced with a decision, chose to put their money, their time, and their reputations behind separating children from their families, encouraging racism and anti-Semitism, and negligently causing the unnecessary loss of life and economic devastation from our country's failed response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The site is a self-described permanent record of those who elected the president, including Trump campaign staffers, Republican National Committee members, and affiliated PACs in 2016 or 2020. And if that does not scare you, 1984 style, I don't know what will. I'm going to move this one too, because I want to talk about this after this. So, it was brought to my attention not that long ago that there was a website called www.donaldtrump.watch, which right now, if you put that in, which I did 3 times, redirects automatically to donor.watch, which is just a general look at who donated to what campaigns. We can go with McConnell, AOC, Pelosi, Obama. You can do it by party, by people, by state, which is draconian enough in and of itself. But I looked back, and I went back through archive.today and found the archive of what the site used to be before they redirected it. Mysteriously, right after the election too, by the way. So out from archive.today, https://www.donaldtrump.watch is donaldtrump.watch. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Quote by Voltaire. Americans that give money to support a racist. And I tried this back when it was still active. By the way, it's no longer active. Data is provided by the FEC.gov. You can go through by name, by state, by first and last name. I went through to look to see if I was on there. I know that I've never given money to Trump, but they might consider some of my tweets at the beginning of his term as an in-kind donation to him, because I was certainly starting to grow a following as we went along. So they could probably consider that as an in-kind donation. But yeah, that's what it was. Americans that gave money to support a racist. You could search by location, street address, city, state, and zip. Of course, right now I don't believe any of this will work, because it's disabled. Or yes, you can go by first and last name, and it is surprisingly accurate too, with name and address and date of birth. Now, yes, this is all information that is in the FEC, so it's not like the information that's out here isn't public, but the fact that they compiled the list together conveniently for anybody who wants to go and, I don't know, archive the tweets of the sycophants and make the blacklist of people who don't get to participate in polite society anymore, as per Jennifer Rubin and AOC. So this is definitely some stuff to watch. Politico has a counter to this because it's fucking Politico. AOC wants to cancel those who work for Trump. Good luck with that, they say. Memories are short in this town. Just look at the veterans of W's White House who did just fine for themselves. Well, they are part of the establishment. Keep that in mind. From Ryan Lizza, Daniel Lippman, and Meredith McGraw. Over the weekend, people started making lists. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kicked things off on Friday with a tweet that terrified Trump world. No, it didn't. Is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future, she wrote. I foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, photos in the future. A group calling itself the Trump Accountability Project sprung up to heed AOC's call. Remember what they did, the group's sparse website declares. We should not allow the following groups of people to profit from their experience. Those who elected him, those who staffed his government, those who funded him. Rarely a healthy sign in any democracy, the enemies list started to freak out some normally unflappable Trump officials in the White House. At first, I brushed it off as ridiculous, but what is scary is that she's serious, said a White House official of AOC's tweet. Unnamed, of course. That is terrifying that a sitting member of Congress is calling for something like that, says the also unnamed person of AOC. I believe there is a life after this in politics for Trump officials, but the idea that a sitting member of Congress wants to purge from society and ostracize us should scare the American people. It definitely should scare the American people. More than it scares me, that type of rhetoric is terrifying when you have 70 million Americans who voted for this president, said the unnamed official, who I do not believe exists. It might start with Trump officials, but what if they go further, which they absolutely could? And I said that. But this is just some unnamed official who might as well be a Politico staffer at this point, because they won't give a name. So that's what we're seeing off that. Let's keep going from the Blaze. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez lashes out at the Democrat Party, hints at quitting politics. It's been extremely hostile to anything that even smells progressive. From Chris Enlow. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the progressive firebrand who cruised to re-election, suggested in a new interview that she might be on her way out of politics. Okay. Speaking with the New York Times, Ocasio-Cortez, she might depart from politics as it becomes even more clear that her far-left progressive agenda is not welcome in the Democratic Party. When asked if she's considering a Senate run for the next couple of years, Ocasio-Cortez says, I genuinely don't know. I don't even know if I want to be in politics, for real. In the first 6 months of my term, I didn't even know if I was going to run for re-election this year. Bull fucking shit you didn't. Bullshit you didn't. It's the incoming. It's the stress. It's the violence. It's the lack of support from your own party. You said, it is on record, you said that you and Joe Biden shouldn't be in the same party. Lack of support for your own party. Fuck you. It's your party thinking you're the enemy. Because you said that you were the enemy. You said you don't know why old school Democrats are still running for anything because you and Joe Biden shouldn't even be in the same party. You said that. She continued, but I'm serious. When I tell people the odds of me running for higher office and the odds of me just going off and trying to start a homestead somewhere, oh my God. AOC is going to homestead. AOC, who is amazed by garbage disposal, is going to homestead. They're probably the same. Ocasio-Cortez spent much of the interview lashing out at the Democrat Party for not accepting her brand of ultra-left politics, claiming that progressive policies are winning elections, not losing them. She said, "I've been begging the party to let me help them for 2 years. There's also a damn thing of it. I've been trying to help. But this election, I offered to help every single swing district, Democrat with their operation, and every single one of them, but 5, refused my help. All but 5 are of the vulnerable or swing districts people that I helped secure victory are on a path to secure victory. And every single one that rejected my help is losing. And now they're blaming us for the loss." Yeah, no, that is bullshit. That is full on crap. But now we get all the simps running out there. "Oh, I gotta do something to help AOC get elected again. Where do I send the check?" All right, let's keep going here from the Daily Wire. Democrats pack the streets celebrating Biden. Janice Dean blisters authorities for hypocrisy over COVID. Well, don't worry about it. There's a vaccine now. From Hank Berrien. Following legacy media announcements proclaiming Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden the winner of the 2020 election, thousands of people packed to the streets of cities around the country to celebrate. On Sunday, Fox News meteorologist Janice Dean, whose husband tragically lost both of his parents to COVID-19 while they were residents of assisted living facilities or nursing homes in New York, fired off a powerful Twitter thread denouncing authorities for prohibiting families from being together during the holidays or while their relatives were dying, but permitting the huge gatherings of people celebrating Joe Biden's results. Dean began the thread tweeting the pictures of the crowds, the hundreds of thousands of people packed in the streets, without distance, while so many of us couldn't have funerals or gatherings. Many still can't see their loved ones because of restrictions. Kids can't go to school. Businesses closed. She warned, "We will remember this." Matthew Colkin tweets, my wife lost her battle with cancer and we were limited to just 30 attendees at her service. Janice Dean says, restrictions for some, restrictions for none, depending on who you're supporting. And here's the reality of this. Now, there's already been pushback against what Janice Dean and others have said about this. There's been pushback to me about this, when I pointed out the same thing, that these people are packed in shoulder to shoulder. And I said the same thing when they had the Postal Service protests. That's the word I was looking for, way back over the summer. When they had the St. George protests, that these people were standing shoulder to shoulder, one on top of the other, shouting and screaming at each other. And the same response that I got everywhere, especially with the postal one, because that was some starky little bitch that got into there, was, well, we're going to be wearing masks, so it's safe. And it's all going to be outdoors, so it's safe. So you're telling me that it was okay. This is what gets me, because you couldn't gather. You couldn't gather in any crowds or do anything because it was somehow unsafe. But magically wearing this mask at a protest where thousands of, or not even protest or celebration where thousands of people are standing shoulder to shoulder, if that's suddenly safe because you put on the magic face cloth, and yet you're going to mock me over the magic sky cloth, by the way. No, I don't fucking buy any of this. This was all a show. This was all a ruse to come out and do exactly what you did. And like I said, now, oh, hey, we can open the economy again. Hey, we're getting a vaccine. Oh my God, the world is all a better place because we got rid of the evil orange man and we will all be at peace. Peace be upon us. It's a religion at this point. There is no other word for it. It is a religion at this point. All right, let's keep going. I got just a couple more here. Completely off the election topic because we've got to get off of this one here. I have done nothing but rant for 66 minutes. From WOWT. Doesn't give me the, it's an NBC 6. Alex Trebek, long-running Jeopardy host, dies at 80. Isn't it funny that Alex Trebek died right after Sean Connery? So now they're sitting up waiting at the pearly gates, and Sean Connery is sitting looking over at him saying, "Suck it, Trebek." From Los Angeles, Alex Trebek, who presided over the beloved quiz show Jeopardy for more than 30 years, with a dapper charm and a touch of schoolmaster strictness, died Sunday. He was 80. Trebek, who announced in 2019 he had advanced pancreatic cancer, died at his Los Angeles home, surrounded by family and friends, hopefully not more than 30, and hopefully wearing a mask, Jeopardy studio Sony said. The Canadian-born host, who made a point of informing fans about his health directly, spoke in a calm, even tone as he revealed his illness and hope for a cure in a video posted March 6, 2019. In the video, Trebek said he was joining the 50,000 other Americans who receive such a diagnosis each year, and that he recognized that the prognosis was not encouraging. But Trebek said he intended to fight it and keep working, even joking that he needed to beat the disease because his Jeopardy contract ran for 3 more years. Less than a week later, he opened the show with a message acknowledging the outpouring of kind words and prayers he'd received. Thanks to the, believe it or not, hundreds of thousands of people who have sent in the tweets, texts, and emails, cards, and letters, wishing me well, Trebek said, I'm a lucky guy. And they sent their support in the form of a question. This program tapes weeks of shows in advance, and the remaining episodes with Trebek will air through December 25th, a Sony spokeswoman said. Godspeed, Alex. Godspeed. And yes, hopefully most of these were answered and given in support in the form of a question. So, we lost an icon, and I mean most millennials, back when we didn't have internet TV or streaming services or anything, grew up, sat down in front of the cable TV to watch Sesame Street to raise us. A lot of us did that. Some of us didn't, but a lot of us did. And I'm not going to name names, but I know parents who did that. And yes, Jeopardy came on afterwards. I mean, Jeopardy was huge. We had a huge game show run when we were kids. So this is an icon for a lot of people my age. Even if most of us have cut the cord right now because we think it's pointless and stupid. Looking back to how we were growing up, when that was all that we had for the in-house entertainment. A lot of us wanted to get up and be on Jeopardy because we saw the amazing ability to earn tons of money off of this. We saw the dude that went through, and what did he go, like 9 weeks on Jeopardy? He didn't go like 9 weeks and he won like $1 million on it and he lost on some ridiculously stupid question. I don't know, but dude went on a winning streak here. Jeopardy was huge. We all played Jeopardy when we were in elementary school and middle school. That's what we did most of our trivia on, was Jeopardy. And we did have to answer in the form of a question. It was a running gag. So, Godspeed, Alex Trebek. And I hope your afterlife is peaceful. And I think that this is out of Omaha, by the way. Alright. What else do we have here? From the New York Post. Whole Foods reverses ban of Remembrance Day poppies amid outrage. From Lisa Fickenshire. Whole Foods has canned a controversial rule barring employees from wearing poppies in honor of Remembrance Day, Canada's holiday for fallen soldiers, following a cascade of criticism. The Amazon-owned supermarket chain reversed course just hours after CBC first reported the ban Friday, saying employees pinning the traditional red flower to their work uniforms were being told that they were in violation of the company's recently updated uniform policy. In response, employees took to social media, setting off a backlash. Whole Foods initially stood firm, defending its dress code, which consists of an apron, a coat or vest, a hat, a name badge, and a written statement, according to Global News. But politicians started chiming in on Friday, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, which meant, of course, it was obviously very intelligent, who called it a silly mistake that I hope that they will correct quickly. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, called for legislation that prohibits any employer from banning their staff from wearing a poppy during Remembrance Week. We appreciate the thoughtful feedback we have received from our customers, given the our learnings of today, we are welcoming team members to wear the poppy pin in honor of Remembrance Day, a Whole Foods spokesperson told Yahoo News on Canada. If I remember correctly, this was an issue last year too, with various certain things banning out the use of the poppy. And I don't completely understand the tradition. I know that we use the poppies for Veterans Day here in America. And I don't understand what they do off Canada, but there's a balance there for me. Yes, obviously, a private company can... What's the word? A private company can decide what it is that they want their employees to wear and what they don't want them to wear. That is true, but on the other side of it, of course, it is seeming to be a directed slap in the face towards something that appears to be a very highly lauded Canadian holiday, expressing patriotism in a country that they don't have a First Amendment on. So I don't know what the difference is off of this here, where to fall on this. Yes, it's a private company. It's still a dick move. But you should let the public shame them, not let the government get involved. All right. That's going to be it for the news today. The last thing that we do on a Monday is something that restores my faith in humanity. And that is this, which the way this is written, you're not going to understand why this restores my faith in humanity, but I want you to understand that this restores my faith in humanity. From MSN News via USA Today, it's not over. Trump supporters flock to state capitals after Biden victory is announced. From Susan Miller and Jordan Culver. As word finally came Saturday, after an exhausting and tense week that Joe Biden will become the 46th president, cities across the nation braced for a darker side, potential violence. Okay. Some supporters of President Trump flocked to state capitals, as encouraged by a campaign Stop the Steal, an effort to delegitimize the vote count that was booted from Facebook for spreading misinformation and inciting violence. We all know why Joe Biden is rushing to falsely pose as the winner and why his media allies are trying so hard to help him. They don't want the truth to be exposed. No, that's not it. They're doing it so that they can come out and hamstring a Trump presidency for 4 more years and saying, "Stolen election!" The simple fact is, this election is far from over. Amid a few exchanges of heated words, the initial counter-protests were mostly peaceful in the hours after Biden's victory was announced, but Trump backers remained defiant. Hundreds massed outside the state capitol in Lansing, Michigan, waving signs saying, "It's not over," and chanting, "We won." Several dozen Biden supporters stood nearby, urging the group to accept the election results. "Just accept it, you bigot! We spent 4 years questioning the election, but just accept ours, you fucking bigot!" Michael Elkins of Westland, dressed in an American flag suit, said he suspected election fraud after the push for absentee voting because of COVID-19 safety concerns that we now no longer have to worry about because there's a magical miracle vaccine. If Joe Biden won legitimately, I'm okay with that, Elkins said. Election integrity is a cornerstone of society that is crumbling away. After Trump's year-long crusade against mail voting, the president's voters were reluctant to vote that way, while Biden supporters embraced this method because of the coronavirus pandemic. Biden supporters dominated mail voting by a 2-to-1 margin nationally. No, that's not true. Biden supporters voted by mail, 2-to-1 versus Trump supporters. You didn't vote right unless you voted twice. So this restores my faith in humanity because we've seen, mostly from politicians, but even from some conservatives on the ground. Conservatism is progressivism driving the speed limit, they say. That they really don't want to change anything, that they're just trying to slow down what progressivism is. And I can see that to an extent. And we've seen people just sit back and roll over. Romney rolled over for Biden. Republicans rolled over for the Democrat agenda for years. Up in Congress, and even somewhat on the ground. They don't want to be the ones demonstrating, protesting. Most of them do have jobs to go to, even if they've been closed by the COVID. But they're not going to take this one laying down. And I pointed out to some other people on this that, if Kamala Harris becomes president, there's a good chance. Because she said that she wants to take punitive action. She said on the debate stage she wants to take punitive action against anybody who is a Trump supporter. So anybody who comes against her radical agenda is possible to face prison time. Especially me, who's very public about it. And I'm no fan of the Donald either. But as I've mentioned to numerous people, for liberty, you're going to have one of these two parties leading. If Trump were to take over and have 4 more years of the presidency, then it's going to be a very, very slow boil. Liberty will get eroded away slowly. We can gather our things, try again in 2 years for the midterm, and then 4 years for the presidency again, to try and get somebody that's more liberty-minded in the GOP for the presidency. Or we can go under a Harris presidency, and now liberty becomes a small animal in the hands of Lenny. The neck snaps immediately, and then Harris is left holding liberty saying, "What the hell happened?" So the fact that these people are getting out here to try and get what they want, without burning the cities down on top of it, to come out here and show that their voices will not be silenced, that they will fight for the future that they want to see, that warms my heart. That restores my faith in humanity. And I hope we see more of this here, because this is long from over, no matter what it is that the mainstream news has to say. All right, and that is going to be it for the news for the day. So we will be back here later on tonight with the Red and Ed Show. Looking definitely forward to some of that, and hopefully getting my co-hostess back, because it's been a long time and I want to hear some of the stories out from the campaign trail. And we thank the Jorgensen campaign for letting her come back and work with us once again. That's going to be great. I'm looking definitely forward to that. Otherwise, we will be back here tomorrow with more Contemporary. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.